I've always loved the idea of unplugging. Nature, trees, no cell service, just peace and quiet. My boyfriend Jake and I have been planning our camping trip for weeks. We're both in our mid-20s, a little too glued to our phones, so we figured 2 nights deep in the woods would be a beneficial detox. The trail we took was about 6 miles into the forest. It was a known camping spot, but far enough out that we wouldn't run into anybody else. That's what we wanted. No people, no noise, just us. We got there around noon, set up our tent, and built a fire pit. Everything felt normal, even enjoyable for a while. The weather was perfect, just cool enough for hoodies at night. Even though we agreed to stay off screen, I couldn't help myself. The view was spectacular, with fireflies buzzing around us. I had to take some photos for memory. I went straight to Snapchat and started capturing the trees, my boots, and the leaves, and Jake holding up the tent poles. I posted a dozen snaps in just a few hours. At one point, I even did a silly selfie with Jake where we had matching marshmallow smiles. People might label it as stupid couple stuff, but I was enjoying the moments. That night, we made hot dogs over the fire and watched the sky turn dark. It was a bit surprising how quickly the woods drowned into quiet. We laughed, drank some cheap wine out of metal cups, and told stories like we were kids again. I remember thinking how happy I was. We went to bed an hour or two later. From the driving and all the setup of the camp, Jake dozed off right away. But I'm a light sleeper. I hardly sleep in new places, so after trying a lot, I gave up. I grabbed my phone and began scrolling through my Snapchat stories to re-watch the day's memories. And suddenly, everything changed. As I eyed the snaps closely, I could see someone standing in the background of every photo. He was barely noticeable at first glance. I zoomed in way behind me among the trees and spotted him looking at the camera with an expressionless face. Drops of sweat trickled down my forehead. In the second snap, he was closer behind a tree, maybe 50 feet away. His face was pale with wide, vacant eyes, and his jaw was stretched and hollow. "Jake," I whispered, shaking him. He groaned, half asleep. "What?" I showed him the snaps. He ignored it at first, but then his face dropped. "What the?" We jumped out of the tent with our flashlights and scanned the woods. We found no one, just black trees and the sound of our breathing. "Maybe it's just some hiker messing with us," Jake offered, though his voice didn't sound convinced. We stayed by the fire a while longer, uneasy but trying to brush it off. Eventually, we went back inside the tent. I left my phone beside me, flashlight within reach, but neither of us slept well. At around 3 a.m., we heard a soft rustling from a close distance, like someone brushing against the undergrowth. We unzipped the tent and stepped out slowly. Jake flashed the light on a nearby tree, and I screamed. Hanging from the branch of a nearby tree was a gutted rabbit. Its inside spilled out, dangling with the wind like someone had just put it there. Jesus Christ, who would do this? I'm getting a really bad vibe about this place. Just when I turned to go back to the tent, I heard a thud, followed by a sizzling sound. The air was immediately filled with the smell of burning flesh. Before I could react to it, another dead animal was thrown at us. I couldn't dodge it in the dark, and it fell on my chest. It was a gutted fox this time, with smoke curled off its bubbling skin. I started crying. There were running footsteps coming from the woods. The animal's blood and skin were all over my clothing. I even tasted some of its fur in my mouth, which made me vomit right on the spot. Jake grabbed a knife and a flashlight. "That's it, we're leaving." I changed into a fresh shirt and was all set to leave when Jake said, "Listen, I know you're scared, and so am I, but hiking 6 miles in pitch darkness with just one powerful flashlight doesn't feel safe either." "You're right. Maybe it was just some sick hunter or prankster. We should wait until the sunrise." We decided to wait until sunrise, just a few more hours. Jake said he'll keep watch while I get some sleep. I lay down in the tent, eyes wide open, staring at the nylon ceiling, while Jake sat outside. I must have drifted off because I woke up to the sound of slow footsteps circling the tent. I called out, "Jake!" No answer. The footsteps kept moving closer to the tent window. I didn't breathe. I just reached for my phone with trembling fingers. I didn't know what to do. I opened Snapchat, maybe out of instinct, maybe out of fear. All I could see was darkness outside the mesh window. But then suddenly, the dog filter appeared. It was floating in the empty space. The tongue flicked out, the ears wiggled. Someone was standing right there and watching me. I screamed so loud I felt my throat tear. Jake burst into the tent, wild-eyed, yelling, "What? What?" I shoved the phone in his face, but the filter was gone. After that, we just ran. Left everything behind. The tent, the gear, the food, hell, even my shoes. We made it to the road by sunrise, hitched a ride with a trucker who didn't ask questions, probably because we looked half insane. We never filed a report because there wasn't enough evidence. We never revisited the incident. Every now and then I still scroll through the old Snapchat story. The photos are grainy now, but the man is still there.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you dare to hear more chilling stories. It was meant to be a chill sleepover at Nora's house with me and Paige. Her parents were away for the weekend, so she had a comfortable attic room filled with pillows, fairy lights, and scented candles. We were eating popcorn, scrolling TikTok, and laughing at ridiculous memes, normal Friday night activities. But about midnight, the electricity took off. Nora lighted some candles and everything seemed spooky. The glow flickered off the walls and the room became very eerie. We all stared at the flames when Nora said, "Let's do something creepy." "Like what?" Paige asked. "A seance or something." We didn't have a Ouija board and none of us knew how to conduct a proper seance. But then I opened my large mouth. "What if we use Snapchat to summon Morena?" "What? Snapchat?" "Yeah, I saw this post on Reddit where some people use snaps of a recently dead person to summon his spirit. It totally works." "I don't know." The room froze. Morena was a senior at our high school. She perished in a horrific vehicle accident only a month ago. She was driving at 93 miles per hour and used Snapchat's speed filter to prove it. She slammed into a divider, dying instantly. People claimed her head was twisted at an abnormal position, and the worst part, her phone kept broadcasting for hours. Some people watched the footage before it was removed. They said you could see her reflection in the window after she died as if she was still watching. "Not funny," Paige muttered. However, Nora was already holding up her phone. We were curious and at the same time bored, a poor combo. We sat in a circle. The only sources of light were 2 candles and the glow from our phones. Each of us opened Snapchat and pointed our cameras toward the attic's darkest areas. Shadows spread strangely across the walls. We whispered in unison, "Morena, if you're here, show yourself." We continued like this for a few minutes when Paige let out a gasp. "Guys, my filter's acting up." We stared at her screen. The dog filter flickered across the empty space behind her. Then it vanished, then sprang up again, but the ears were too long this time. The tongue was gray. Nora's scream captured a second face. A thin and pale outline lingered behind Paige. Nora turned around. "Nothing's there," she said hastily, but her voice was trembling. I pointed my camera at the mirror by Nora's bed. It was cracked at the top, only a hairline split, but I swear I saw something move behind my reflection. A thunderous crack echoed throughout the room and the window sprang open, letting in a gush of wind. Suddenly, my phone snapped its own photo. Nobody touched it, it just snapped. We crowded together, shivering as I opened it. A face could be seen at the mirror looking down at us, but it was wrong. The eyes were excessively big and it didn't look human. I dropped my phone. "I'm done. Turn it off. End it." But before we could do anything, Nora began murmuring. Her voice did not sound right. Rather, she laughed in a deep, guttural voice that came from within. She rocked back and forth. Her eyes had rolled so far back that all we could see was white. Paige grabbed her by the shoulders and shook her. "Nora! Nora! Nora, stop!" Nora did not stop. She continued babbling faster now. Her lips moved, but the noises didn't match, as if her mouth was on hold. Her entire body trembled. We panicked. I blew out the candles. Paige grabbed her phone, turning on the light, thinking if we flash it on Nora, she'll break free from this trance or whatever it was, but it didn't stop. Nora fell to the ground. Her body started to contort at impossible angles. Her bones broke, yet she remained silent and did not scream. Her face, or maybe I should say the face on her face, kept smiling at us while her body moved uncontrollably. Her head struck the floor with a dull thump. I'll never forget how her body looked like a puppet with its ropes cut. We phoned her mother and the police. She was rushed to the hospital, and to our shock, she survived. Nora woke up the next day with no recollection of what happened to her. She looked pale and unwell. She claimed she felt watched but brushed it off. And in the doctor's report, not a single fracture or scratch was found on her body. We all promised to never discuss it again. Nobody at school would understand. But 3 days later, we received the news. Nora was found dead in her bedroom. Her mother stated she appeared to have died in the middle of a scream, her face frozen with dread. There was no evidence of a struggle. There was no sign of foul play. It was just her lying there, rigid and chilly. Her phone was found next to her. They said her Snapchat was still open. The camera had been pointing to the ceiling, and in the final photo, a face was just apparent among the static. We saw that same face behind Paige that night. I wish it was the end. But 2 nights ago, at 3:14 a.m., my phone buzzed with a Snapchat notification from Paige. There was no message, just a picture taken in a dark bedroom focusing on a particular corner, and I could see something standing there watching me. I removed it. I threw my phone across the room, but I continued to hear voices in my sleep. I see glitches on my screen. Sometimes I notice a filter flicker in the air next to me. I don't use Snapchat anymore, but I haven't deleted it either, because deep down I believe she wants that. Maybe none of this would have happened if we let Morena rest in peace. Did we just bring her back, or does she want us to join her wherever she is? Don't forget to like and subscribe if you dare to hear more chilling stories.
I still remember the exact sound the front door made when Annabelle closed it behind her that night. Soft, but with a little snap of finality. She called out, "Don't wait up, Paul," in her usual sing-song tone. I shouted back, "Text me if he's cute." That was it. That was the last time I ever heard her voice. She'd been so secretive about this guy. She only mentioned that his name was Chris, that he was a photographer who lived nearby, and that they had been talking on Snapchat for weeks. She never showed me his full face, only Snapchats with filters or cropped images, but she was glowing, suggesting she has totally fallen head over heels. I figured it was a harmless flirting phase and she would eventually get bored of it. But I wish it went out that way. That night, I was lying on my bed, watching some videos on YouTube. The rain was tapping on the windows, and Annabelle was out on her first date with her mystery Snapchat man. Around 11:17 p.m., I got a text from her. "He's acting weird." I replied instantly. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer. A minute later, another message came. "If I don't text back in 10, call me." That one set something off in my gut. I stared at my phone, suddenly cold. My fingers hovered over the keypad when the third message came in. "I feel like he's hiding something." I called her immediately. It rang twice, then went to voicemail. I tried again and again, but she didn't pick up. That's when panic crept in. I told myself maybe her phone died, maybe they were just somewhere with no signal. But something didn't feel right. Annabelle never said things like that unless she meant them. I walked to her room, hoping maybe she'd left a note on where she was going with this guy, or written in her iPad about an appointment. Her door was slightly open, the string light still on. I noticed her iPad sitting on the desk, the screen still glowing with activity. Snapchat was open, indicating that she had forgotten to log out. I hesitated for a second, then picked it up. My hands were trembling. I tapped into the chat with Chris. What I saw chilled me to my bones. Their conversation went way back, weeks of flirty messages, silly selfies, and inside jokes. At first, it seemed sweet, Harmless. He complimented her art, sent black and white photos of his studio, but the deeper I scrolled, the more unsettling it got. He always avoided showing his full face. All his snaps had filters or shadows, or were taken from hazy angles, not revealing his full face. I scrolled to the messages from tonight. Wear something red for me, and don't bring anyone. It's just us. Sure, whatever you say. I felt nauseous. I noticed something else. His Snap Map location. He used filters to fake being nearby, but in older saved snaps, I saw weird inconsistencies. One said Denver, the next said Boulder, then Aspen. Within minutes of each other. No one moves that fast. He was lying about everything. I stumbled on a saved video call from 3 nights ago. I hit play. Annabelle was laughing, tossing her hair, and asking him about his latest shoot. He didn't speak much. He just nodded, smiled, and remained mostly in the shadows. For a moment, the screen glitched, and I saw a glimpse of his real face. He wasn't 20-something. He looked older, like 30, maybe more, and a smile didn't reach his eyes. Then I saw a message she sent earlier that night, right after Annabelle left for the date. She never opened it. If you scream, no one will hear you. I called 911. Annabelle's body was discovered the next morning in the basement of an empty house an hour outside the city. She was strangled to death. Her phone was wiped clean. No messages, no fingerprints. It was like she'd never spoken to anyone. But her iPad, the one I had found, was the key. Investigators recovered fragments from the cloud, unsent messages, broken video calls, one final snap taken automatically during a failed call. A week later, they caught the man. His real name was Mason Duval, 32 years old, drifter. He'd been using location filters and anonymous usernames to talk to girls. Annabelle wasn't the first, but she was the one who didn't make it home. It's been almost a month. Her room still looks the same, her art is still on the walls, her bed still made, but sometimes I swear I hear the ping in a Snap notification in the middle of the night coming from her iPad. One time I opened it, it said, "Still with Chris, don't worry." But it wasn't from her account, it was from a new one. No Bitmoji, no name. I deleted the app that night, but I still see her on the quick ad list sometimes. Even though her account was deactivated, she's frozen there, smiling in a filter like she's still online, still stuck in that last snap. And every now and then, late at night, I wonder if someone else is chatting with some random creep, not having the slightest idea that if they meet in person, the stranger might not let them live to tell the tale.
If these stories sent chills down your spine, don't vanish into the darkness without hitting that like button. Share your scariest experience in the comments below, because your story might be featured next. And remember, the scariest thing is missing out. So subscribe now, before the next nightmare finds you.